माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीजना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस रेखाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस अभयचरण अरविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद भागवतम की all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः. Reading from Canto 6, Chapter 15, text number 9. Since it does not have a purport, we will end up reading till text number 15. So we will recite text 9. Sri Shukavacha Evama Vishvi एवमा वसितो राजा चित्रकेतुर्द्विजोक्तिभिः विमृज्य पाणिना वक्त्रम् आदिम्लाननभाषत. श्रीशुक उवाच एवमाश्वासितो राजा चित्रकेतुर्द्विजोक्तिभिः विसृज्य पाणिना वक्त्रम् आदिम्लानमभाषत. श्रीशुक उवाच एवमाश्वासितो राजा चित्रकेतुर्द्विजोक्तिभिः विमृज्य पाणिना वक्त्रम् आदिम्लानमभाषत. चित्रकेतुर्द्विचोक्तिभिः दिम्लानमभाष श्रीशुकोवाच एवमाश्वासितो राजा चित्रकेतुर्द्विचोक्तिभिः मज्जपाणिनां वक्त्रम् आदिम्लानमभाषत श्रीशुकोवाच एवमाश्वासितो राजा चित्रकेतुर्द्विचोक्तिभिः मृज्जपाणिनां वक्त्रम् आदिम्लानमभाषत. Mataji's Shri Shukavacha, Shri Sukdev Goswami said, Evam, thus, Ashvasitaha, being enlightened or given hope. Raja, the king. Chitraketu, Dvijoktibihi, by the instructions of the great Brahmanas. Narada and Angira Rishi. Vimrijya, wiping off. Panina, by the hand. Vaktram, his face. Adimlanam, shriveled due to lamentation. Abhasata, spoke intelligently. Translation and purport subsequently by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Shri Sukadeva Goswami continued. Thus enlightened by the instructions of Narada and Angira, King Chitraketu became hopeful with knowledge. Wiping his shriveled face with his hand, the king began to speak. Since this does not have a purport, we are reading subsequent 5 verses. That's what I was told. Text 10. Shri Rajovacha Kauyuvam. No, this... Shri Rajovacha Kauyuvam Jnana Sampanno Mahishtocha Mahiyasam Avadhutena Veshena Guda Vihasamagato. Translation. King Chitraketu said, you have both come here dressed like Avadhutas, liberated persons, just to cover your identities, but I see that of all men you are most elevated in awareness. You know everything as it is. Therefore you are the greatest of all great personalities. Text 11. Charanti hyavanaukamam brahmana bhagavat priyaha madrisham gramya buddhinam bodayon mattalinginaha. Translation. Brahmanas who are exalted to the position of Vaishnavas, the most dear servants of Krishna, sometimes dress like madmen, just to benefit materialists like us who are always attached to sense gratification, and just to dissipate our ignorance, these Vaishnavas wander on the surface of the globe according to their desires. Then subsequently 12 to 15. It has a purport, so we will read all of the verses together. Kumaro Narada Rigbur Angira Devalostitaha Apantaratma Vyaso Markande Yota Gautamaha Vasishto Bhagavan Ramaha Kapilo Badarayinihi Durvasa Yajnavalkascha Jatur Karnas Tatharunihi Romaschavanayo Datta Asuri Sapatanjalihi Rishir Veda Shiradhomyo Munif Pancha Shikastata Hiranyanaba Kaushalya Shrutadevaritadhvajaha Ete Parecha Siddheshas Charanti Jnana Hetavaha. Translation. O great souls, I have heard that among the great and perfect persons wandering the surface of the earth to instruct knowledge to people who are covered by ignorance are Sanat Kumara, Narada, Rubu, Angira, Devala, Asita, Apantaratma, that is Vyasadeva, Markandeya, Gautama, Vasishta, Parashurama, Kapila, Shukadeva, Durvasa, Yajnavalka, Jatukarna and Aruni. Others are Romasha, Chavana, Dattatreya, Asuri, Patanjali, the great sage Dhaumya, who is like the head of the Vedas, the sage Panchashikha, Hiranyagarbha, Kaushalya, Shrutadeva and Ritadhvaja. You must certainly be one of them. Purport. The word Jnana Hetavaha is very significant because great personalities like those listed in these verses wander on the surface of the globe not to mislead the populace but to distribute real knowledge. Without this knowledge, human life is wasted. The human form of life is meant for realization of one's relationship with Krishna or God. One who lacks this knowledge is categorized among the animals. The Lord himself says in Bhagavad Gita 7:15, Namam dushkritino mudha prapadyante naradamaha maya apahrita jnana asuram bhavam ashritaha.
Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of the demons, do not surrender unto me. Ignorance is the bodily conception of life. Yasyatma buddhi kunapetri dhatuke saeva gocharaha verse. Practically everyone throughout the universe, especially on this planet Burloka, thinks that there is no separate existence of the body and soul and therefore no need of self-realization. But that is not a fact. Therefore, all the Brahmanas listed here, being devotees, travel all over the world to awaken Krishna consciousness in the hearts of foolish materialists. The acharyas mentioned in these verses are described in the Mahabharata. The word Panchashika is very important. One who is liberated from the conception of Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya and Anandamaya, and who is perfectly aware of the subtle coverings of the soul is called Panchashika. According to the statements of the Mahabharata Shanti Parva chapter 218 to 219, an Acharya named Panchashika took birth in the family of Maharaj Janaka, the ruler of Mithila. The Sankhya philosophers accept Panchashikacharya as one of them. Real knowledge pertains to the living entity dwelling within the body. Unfortunately, because of ignorance, the living entity identifies himself with the body and therefore feels pleasure and pain. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamsha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So, welcome everyone today morning for the Srimad Bhagavatam class. So, the series of verses that we read, the focus here is about these great souls who is listed here by Maharaj Chitraketu. And he is saying that all these people wander around the earth to instruct knowledge to people in general. So, this is the theme, and Prabhupada also talks about that only in the purport, that the Acharya or the Brahmanas, they wander around giving knowledge to people. So I have just two themes for the day. First theme is about the importance of knowledge, and second thing is the role of Brahmanas or Acharyas. So we'll start with the first one. If you see generally, saints or Brahmanas or Rishis, etc., when people in general, when we look at them, there are two types of things that are said about them. One is, as it is said in this verse, they are distributing knowledge to people. The other is that they sometimes, give some special mercy where they, change something drastically, right? Like for example, if you take Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, most of the time when he was traveling around South India or many other provinces, he was giving knowledge, Harinam, to everybody, right? He was telling everyone to chant, he was telling about relationship with Krishna, etc. But once a while he did some things also, some miracle kind of a thing. Like he embraced this Jagai Madai and, all their sins went away. In fact, his body became blackish. Or he embraced that Vasudeva leper and his entire leprosy went off and it became golden. So, what I'm trying to say is, generally when we see or hear about saints, brahmanas, great souls, they do these two type of things. I would say that most importantly or most often, their role is to give knowledge to people. That is the because that is the standard way in which person progresses. That means you hear knowledge from them, you practice in your life, and you go ahead. But generally, people like the other part more, or are kind of impressed by that more. In fact, there are many religious systems in the world where their entire thing is around miracles and magic only. Because that is what most people are attracted by. They feel, Hare, ऐसा कुछ कर दिया एकदम सडन चमत्कार, महाराज ने अगर कुछ कर दिया, मेरा सब कुछ. Because people in general don't want to take that deep responsibility to hear, understand, and then decide to implement. That looks very boring and also looks a lot of hard work. Oh my God, I have to implement all this in my life and transform myself and change. On the other hand, if somebody would just give some special mercy, some kick, one stroke, things will just change and I will be permanently delivered. This is what generally we look forward to. That's human psychology. And that human psychology plays everywhere. Even if we don't see, but those who see movies, etc., they are attracted by shows where there is one hero, he is, 15 people are coming to attack him, and one stroke he finishes all of them. Something which is a little unreal, the mob appreciates that actually. That is psychology of humanity. Mob tends to appreciate things that are unreal. Okay, in his own house, that hero cannot manage one wife also, perhaps comfortably. But in the movie, 15 people he knocks off, and everybody says, "Wow, this is great, man." Right, so this is this kind of mercy, or this kind of supernatural powers are more attractive to human psychology. So let's not think that just because as devotees we may not see a movie, we are free from the psychology. No, that psychology is still there, where we hope or where we believe that if we meet some great saintly person or somebody like that, he would suddenly change my entire existence only without me doing much hard work. You see, that's the point here. Okay, so my point here is this is actually not to be expected. This is because generally we see, if you see Vyasa, like so many, all these rishis are being said here, right? Like if you see about Vyasa also, what is his glorification? There is a stuti verse for Vyasadeva. What is that? Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Fullara Vindayata Patra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajwalito Jnanamayah Pradipaha. This verse basically says about Vyasa, Namostute Vyasa. Who is Vyasa? Vishala Buddhe, the one of mighty intellect, Buddhishali. Fulla Ravinda is a patra netra, his eyes are like lotus flowers. Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha. He used Mahabharat as an oil. Tel ke saman usko use kiya. Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajwalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha. And he lit the lamp of knowledge. See, this is the pranati, you can say, for Vyasadeva. Okay, so all these great rishis and their great souls, they are appreciated for the knowledge they have given to the world. And not so much for those miracles or this magic mercy. Okay, so I was just thinking in this story also, if you see, this Narada and Angira, when Chitraketu Maharaja's son died, they got him to life temporarily. Somebody may say, couldn't they have got him to life permanently? Actually, kar sakte the wo log. No, they were powerful enough. If they wanted, they could have got the soul back into that body and kept him there only. They could have done that. If they had the power to get that soul back into the dead body and make him sit and talk, they perhaps had the power to do that as well. But they did not do that. Why they did not do that? Because it doesn't serve any lesson to anybody of us. What are you trying to teach? Are you trying to teach people that such magic or such miracles keep going to happen in our life? No, Prakriti is too powerful, and Prakriti works as per its own norms and laws. And if death happens, you have to accept it. You can't revolt too much against it or expect to reverse death. Okay, so though these sages had the power to do that, they just got that child temporarily just to give that knowledge to Chitraketu in a very dynamic fashion, and then sent him back. We see the same thing in Chaitanya Bhagavat also, the story of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Srivasa's son died during the Kirtan, Mahaprabhu got the child back, right? And the child spoke also. And again, same, this is a very similar story actually, if you see in some way, right? The child spoke, and then again he laid down, saying that I'm going now to my next destination. And he just laid down. So the point is, if you see Sanatana Dharma and all these rishis, they're so real. They understand that the most important thing is to give knowledge and change the paradigm of the student. Not to do some magic miracle and, try to fool people that, we can do something. So that's why, this entire purport focuses on this knowledge part. I want to emphasize on this a little bit more. Because sometimes what happens is when we hear about, obtaining knowledge, etc., one may feel that, this may perhaps make a person very dry, maybe he will not become a devotee because of knowledge, etc. This is, sometimes a perception exists like this, that if someone is behind knowledge, then he may, he may turn out to be very dry, etc. So I want to address that point here. Now, if you see in the Bhagavad Gita also, I'll start from that. Krishna focuses so much about knowledge, jnana. So much focus is there. In the first 6 chapters, last 6 chapters, he's talking about jnana. Jnanam, Jneyam, he's talking about that. 4th chapter, 13th chapter, he's talking about it. Why does he talk so much about knowledge? Because of the simple thing, and he emphasizes on that also. Like if you see in the Gita, I'll just take 2 verses. Like if you see in 4.36 Gita, Krishna basically says, Apichedasi papepya sarvepya papakritama sarvam jnana plaveneva vrijanim santarishyati. Krishna says that even if you are the biggest sinner, if you are situated in the boat of knowledge, transcendental knowledge, you can cross over the ocean of misery. So he gives one example like this. And then in the next verse, I'll just talk about both these verses together. Next verse he says, Yete dhamsi samadhognir basmasat kurute arjuna, jnanagni sarvakarmani basmasat kurute tata. Krishna says, as a blazing fire turns firewood into ashes, so Arjuna, so does fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities. Okay, so 2 examples are given for knowledge here. One is like a boat, and the other is like fire, setting sins to ashes. So one Acharya gives a very nice commentary. He says that, see, in the first example, Krishna gave the example of boat to say that all our sinful existence is like an ocean, and knowledge is like that oar in the boat with which you can cross over all these sins. The knowledge will help you cross over sins. Krishna gave this example, but Krishna thought, after hearing this example, somebody may feel, boat, the nature of a boat is it can take you to the other side, but again it can bring you back into the ocean. Correct? I mean, you can still be loitering in the ocean only. So Krishna thought, chalo, ye nahi chalega, ek aur example dena padega. So Krishna gives the example of knowledge like fire and sins compared to wood. And where that wood is burnt only now. Okay, so then it's finished. Okay. So in this way, Krishna does glorify a lot of this, So we will elaborate on this a little bit more. Now, if you see carefully, since Prabhupada talks about all these great Brahmanas also in this particular text, if you see in the Varnashrama, the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, if you see all these 4, each of these 4 is attracted to, something different. So it is said that Brahmana is mainly attracted to knowledge. Kshatriya to power, Vaishya to resources, and Shudra to skill. This is their primary attraction or whatever, right? So again in knowledge also, the Brahmana's main attraction is towards knowledge. So as I was saying earlier, sometimes we may feel that those who are behind jnana may not so much become devotee, etc. But if you see statistically, that's not so much true. As in, if you see in India, over the centuries, more often than not, statistically speaking, those who are in such Brahmana families accumulating knowledge, they actually ended up becoming devotees. That means the percentage of devotees in such families over the centuries across sampradayas is actually very high. Indicating that the Vedic knowledge especially, I'm not talking about any knowledge, Vedic knowledge will ultimately bring you to Krishna only. Bhavanam janmanamante jnanavan ma prapadyate. It will bring. Okay, so that is not to be minimized. In fact, in the Mahabharata, there is a very nice discussion between Yudhishthir and Yaksha, where Yaksha is asking Yudhishthir, Kim Brahmananam Daivatvam? He is asking, what makes Brahmana divine and what makes Brahmana human? Please try to understand this question. That means Brahmana divine, Daiva kaisa banta hai? How does he become godly? Okay. And how does he become human? Okay, so Yudhishthir gives, again, very classic answers. He says, Brahmana Devatvam is due to his knowledge. That means because this Brahmana, like Vyasa we just said, he has this jnana, he is like divine. Okay, because he is like a walking, talking encyclopedia, as someone said about Saraswati Thakur. Right? He has so much of divine knowledge to give that knowledge only makes him divine. And then the answer to the question, what makes Brahmana belief system comes out. Where it comes out? In the 3rd chapter, 1st verse, 5th chapter, it again comes out. Where he says, hey Arjuna, why do you want me to engage in ghastly warfare if you think intelligence is better than fruitive work? Or in 5th chapter also he says, first you glorify knowledge and then you glorify action. Please tell me which one should I do? Actually, Krishna never told that. Krishna never said that this ghastly warfare is not to be engaged. That was Arjuna's belief system. So what I'm trying to say, sometimes the student or the person is such, he has his own strong conception inside. Are you getting it? That is his core belief system. Usko address karna padega, tabhi wo sudharne wala hai. Otherwise he is not going to change. And so because of that belief system, sometimes a person hears what was not even told by the speaker. Are you understanding? You will have this experience sometimes. A person is there in the audience, he will say, Prabhuji, this was told. Actually, that was not told only by the speaker. He heard it himself. Like Arjuna is hearing his own stuff in the Gita. That you have, 3.1, 5.1, if you read, you will understand Arjuna's belief system coming out. He is talking things which Krishna never spoke. Because वो अंदर से उसको सुनाई दे रहे हो, उसका अंदर का आवाज है वो बाहर का आवाज नहीं, भगवान का आवाज नहीं, वो खुद का अंदर से उसका सिस्टम है, बिलीफ सिस्टम है. So knowledge can actually transform the person only if that belief system is addressed, and Krishna hits on that. And you will see that everywhere. Now if you see Chitraketu also, what was his belief system? He was somehow thinking that if I get the sun, I will be happy. वो उसका था, वो बराबर नारद and Angira, they caught that pulse. They understood that this fellow, until something happens over here, this is addressed, he will not change. So please try to understand this, right? They couldn't have transformed Chitraketu without all this drama happening. That belief system had to be addressed. He had to get a son, that son had to die, go through that, and the dead son had to again come back alive and speak that philosophy and go out. Then it would be addressed. Then he would understand. Otherwise, see, that same thing would have been done as a lecture. फायदा नहीं होता लेकिन वो बदलता ही नहीं, because the belief system is the very core of an individual. So the knowledge has to be given in such a way. That's why you see, expert preachers, they don't have a standard prototype when they speak to somebody. I mean, let's see Narada Muni. In the Bhagavatam, so many different people he is preaching to. Every preaching is different only. Correct? I mean, Valmiki not in Bhagavatam, but in general I'm saying, Valmiki says that go and ask your family whether they will share the karma. That was his belief system actually. This Valmiki somehow he thought, I am doing for family only, they will also share. They said, we are not going to share. हमको लेना नहीं, तूने क्या, तू ही भुगतो बस. Then he thought, oh my God, these people are not sharing, man. Then he said, come, now I'll tell you something. So that core belief system, Mrigari, he thought that, without this bow I will survive. कुछ नहीं, तोड़ो उसको पहला, सिखा दो तेरे को कैसा होगा. Okay, so basically if you see, that is expert preaching also. They don't have a standard, same lecture. Of course, we do that sometimes because we may not be that expert. So we have a same set of lectures for anybody who comes and, we just give a standard prototype, which is fine from the Vyasas and you can give that. But ultimately, one-on-one is actual preaching. It's considered, right? Like Narada Muni also, we see again that Prachina Bari's story. Kya story hai? Fabulous. He goes and talks about one, he creates one fictitious character called Puranjan, talks that whole story, and at the end of the story he understands, oh God, you're talking about me, man. He couldn't have told him in the beginning only. That realization had to come. So this is how, that knowledge, this is what I meant by saying that knowledge for personal transformation happens only when your core belief system is addressed. That has to be hit. Like Arjuna's was hit by Krishna. Krishna had to tell him that, hey, look, no. Arjuna thought seriously. Arjuna could never, in fact, at the end of the 3rd chapter, I know this is given by one Acharya in his commentary. After 3rd chapter is Karma Yoga, right? Karma Yoga, na? 3rd chapter. 4th chapter, how does Krishna open 4th chapter? He says, Imam Vivasvate Yogam. So one Acharya questions, why does Krishna start saying that I gave knowledge to Sun God? Kyun bolne ka ho? He says, so his commentary, he says, it is because Arjuna thought that hey, Krishna Karma Yoga bol raha hai. Through your work, you can connect to the divine, all this stuff. ये तो नया सुनाई दे रहा हूँ मेरे को, ये नया फिलोसफी है क्या कुछ? So Krishna wanted to say, नया नहीं है, मैंने पहले भी Vyaswan को बोला है, I have told long back. Same thing I am telling you right now. Oh, really? Like that? So he had to address that. And this way Krishna beautifully addresses that belief system, and by the end Arjuna is convinced, no, this is the right way. And Krishna integrates everything: action, knowledge, devotion. All these three things Krishna integrates and convinces Arjuna that, hey, look, see, because we have to understand, devotion without knowledge has the great potential to become very sentimental. Devotion without knowledge can become extremely sentimental. It can become fanatical at worst. Okay, that's why nobody can say that knowledge is not important. नहीं, आपको उसके ऊपर ही devotion build होता है. That's how Gita is, right? Of course, for someone who is a Shuddha Bhakta, like Vraja, Prem and all that, they also have the knowledge, but now that has taken such a backseat because of their devotion, that's a different thing altogether. I'm talking more about common people, right? For them, the devotion has to be built on top of action and knowledge only. That's how Gita is. Action, knowledge, and then devotion, right? Bringing it up. So this is the first theme I wanted to speak today, about knowledge. Second theme I wanted to speak is about the role of a teacher. Okay, because here again we are seeing so many teachers have been listed in these verses by Chitraketu. I mean, almost we read 15-20 names here, today's verse, right? So now I'm going to speak from the role of a teacher, some important things to understand, which we see here. 2-3 points I'll make, and then we will end. The first thing is, as a teacher, so first of all, let us understand, as a disciple or a student, our role as a student or a disciple is eternal, but as a teacher, it is circumstantial. Sometimes we may take the cap of a teacher or an instructor. I mean, whoever is, whatever type of guru is, maybe Diksha Guru, any guru. Okay, but disciple you are eternally. Okay, so but still we need to understand this. Because as teachers, if we are not like these sages listed here, we can cause great harm to our people also. So that is also important to discuss. The first point. The first point about a teacher is, the teacher should have some type of detachment also while giving knowledge. Detachment as in, best example we see Krishna, supreme teacher. Can you imagine? इतना सारा भाषण दिया उसको अर्जुन को, इतना टाइम लेके, एंड में क्या बोलते हैं, यथेच्छसि तथा कुरु. Can you imagine to say that? And he's sincerely saying it. It's not that Arjuna would have said, I don't want to fight. Krishna said, क्या यार, disappoint कर दिया तूने. पूरा 1.5 घंटे का मेरा lecture waste हो गया. I would have rather, had some rasa dance or something. कहीं जाके क्या तुम्हारा time waste करने का इधर. No, so Krishna said, यथेच्छसि तथा कुरु. Do what you want, Arjuna. You please tell me what you want to do. You want me to tell again Gita? One Acharya says, पूरा वापस सुनाना है, सुनाता हूँ. वापस घर जाना है, चले जाते हैं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं. See, there is a detachment in the teacher. Very important. Otherwise, because see, what happens now, the transformation has to happen in the student, which can take time. Okay, so the teacher has to have that Brahmanatva. Brahmanatva means there is a Nishkama Bhavana in the teacher also. Too much if he is aggressively thinking, इसको अभी मेरे को convert करके तुरंत इसको बदलना है ना, then we may actually harm that candidate. Okay, and this is, you will see everywhere. All the teachers you see, they maintain that some detachment also. So then you can give knowledge as per students' disposition. This is very important. Okay, students' disposition के हिसाब से you have to give knowledge. Just like again going back to Narada. क्या fantastic preacher है Narad Muni. Every student he gave different type of instruction. Dhruva he said, "Arey, go home now. Why are you taking all this seriously?" Can you imagine? But when he saw that Haryash was, Shavlas was, he gave them a full, what we may call as Gaurang Sabha class only. Correct? But he did not give that same class to the other person. Are you understanding the point? See, disposition of the student, he knew that each of these fellow students are different of mine. He gave a different type. Because, see, that's also a greatness of a teacher, of all these teachers if you see. So they could maintain that. They understood what this fellow needs to hear, give only that. And as a teacher, one should not have too much expectation from the student. See, that means, there are two things, one is called obligation, one is called gratitude. A teacher should not cause an obligation in a student. He can teach in such a way that that person feels a sense of gratitude in him. There is a little difference in it. Gratitude is something which comes out from the heart of the student, feeling that, oh, thank you so much. Like how Arjuna feels, after hearing Gita from Krishna, saying that, I will do what you say. He has taken that on himself. He feels grateful for what is being given. Correct? So this is again very, very important, right? So the first thing, the detachment of the teacher. Second thing I want to say, which is again very important, no guru or saint or teacher should think that I am a standalone person. See, if you see in this verse now, the beauty of these verses that we read from Bhagavatam today, so many people have been listed down. Why so many gurus and acharyas are listed? You see that Sanat Kumar, Narada, Ribhu, Angira, Devala, Asita, chal raha list. Such a big list is given. Why it is given like this? Because no guru is standalone. Apart from the entire, so it is the Guru Tattva to whom you are loyal to. Are you understanding? So no teacher should convey such a theme to the student that I am the only guy over here for you. It's a very dangerous thing. You cannot do that. And it was never done like that in the past. It was never done like that. Let's see some examples. One of the gurus written here is Dhaumya. It is said he is the head of the Vedas, and also Asita, right? Devala. The Devala's brother is Dhaumya. I'll tell you one story about him, which is very interesting to see. If you see in the Mahabharata, when we see the Pandavas, you go and ask anybody on the street, who is the guru of the Pandavas or Arjuna? What will they say generally? द्रोणाचार्य. सब लोग द्रोणाचार्य बोलेंगे. वैसा अगर आप देखोगे ना, द्रोणाचार्य का रोल बहुत ही कम था एक्चुअली. If you see the Mahabharata, the Pandavas grew up in the forest for first 12 years. And there itself, there were teachers in the forest who had taught each of the Pandavas the basics of their Ayudha. You understood? Arjuna was already an archer before he met Drona. You know the story, right? When Drona comes, Arjuna shoots and gets that ring out from the well. He knew that much. So it is said that there were teachers in the forest, Himalayas, who had already taught all the Pandavas, Gada, Yuddha, everything was taught to them. Drona came into their life for advanced education. It's like a college professor he was. Advanced knowledge he taught. The Pandavas' greatness was that they always, saw him like he never, first of all, he didn't even teach them the basic stuff of archery and all that. They started from a very high level only. That's why I'm saying it's like college education. It's not school education that he did for them. And neither he taught them any moral science, as in ethics and values. Otherwise, Duryodhana also would have transformed. No, wo sikhaya nahi unko. Pandavas already had it, so they maintained. It is like a good boy in the voice or something, the professor is not teaching him ethics and all. He already has it by virtue of his parents or some other teachers or something. Okay, and that also for a very short time. And then, the Pandavas in their youth, when they go, this is before their marriage with Draupadi. It's a beautiful story actually. Arjuna fights with a Gandharva once. And Arjuna goes to take bath in a river at an odd time and a Gandharva attacks him. And Arjuna defeats him. And finally Arjuna asking Gandharva, why did you attack me? Kuch nahi bigada tera. Why did you come and attack me? He said two things. He said, first thing, you people have graduated from Brahmacharya ashram, not entered another ashram. So I thought you are weak. So I thought, chalo thoda kar lete. And second thing is, you don't have any guide only in your life. You are wandering around just like that. So when Yudhishthir comes to know, he feels terrible actually. And there in that forest, there was this great Rishi Dhaumya. They approach him, say, please, will you be our Purohit, master, teacher, counselor, whatever you want to call. He says, yes. And can you imagine the commitment of Dhaumya also? Now again, you understand the commitment of a teacher. He agrees to travel with the Pandavas throughout their life. And please remember, it's not that Pandavas were only in the kingdom. 12 saal jab vanvas hua, Dhaumya was also there with them in the forest, 12 years. Only that 1 year of Agyatavas, 13th year, Dhaumya was not with them. Otherwise, full time till end he was there. That's the commitment of a teacher also. No matter what, no matter where you are, I am with you. And again, if you see, he didn't impose himself too much on them. That's what I'm trying to say. Like if you see the Mahabharata, if you see the Pandavas in the forest, so many different gurus they are coming and learning from. Markandeya comes, he gives a big lecture. Different rishis come there to the forest. And Yudhishthira is asking all of them questions and they are all answering. And nowhere you will see Dhaumya feeling threatened or undervalued or feeling, kya yaar, mere ko counselor chuna, baaki se question पूछ रहा है इधर आके. मार्कंडेय से पूछ रहा है, मैं आंसर कर सकता हूँ सब कुछ, मेरे को सब कुछ मालूम है, मेरे को पूछना है इधर. सब काम छोड़ के मैं आ गया तुम लोग के पीछे. Dhaumya doesn't say that. He doesn't, he doesn't even feel that or whatever. There's nothing like that. Because the whole concept is that it's a collection of teachers. It's a collection of teachers which is very important for an individual. Right? Even if you see historically, if you see some years back, right, in India, if you see, right, today at least one may say it is possible that one can have one guru and or whatever, one teacher and stay connected only with him. Even if he's sitting in New Zealand, only you will hear his class on Zoom or whatever. But in previous times, it wasn't like that. Like if you see Chaitanya, Advaita Acharya's guru was Madhavendra Puri. And how many times he would have met him? Come on, it would be just You can count on your fingers, right? Because Madhavendra Puri was traveling all over India, Advaita Acharya was somewhere. I mean, you will see in the Chaitanya Leela also, just 2-3 times they meet, or Mahaprabhu meeting Ishwara Puri, 2-3 times they meet. So does it mean other times they did not learn from someone else? Of course not. They did learn. Okay, so they meet their Diksha Guru at a particular time, took a particular inspiration from them. But their learning was always going on. So this is very important. See why, this is very important. Otherwise, what happens is, if the living guru, living teacher is not given importance, you become like, I'll not name, but there are religious systems where what they have done is, they have replaced the guru only with a grantha. Correct? See, grantha is important. We are in the season of book distribution these days. So, grantha vitarana is very important. But the grantha cannot completely replace the necessity of a living guru. Doesn't happen. If you do that, actually such religious systems which have done that, they actually face a lot of problem. Because there's no one to, explain in a very contemporary fashion that thing to them. Because they don't accept only anybody as the living guru. They accept only their grantha as the guru now. तो guru parampara ko bandij kar diya सालों पहले. It's actually, if you think about it, right? So Bhagavatam is in stark opposition to that, right? Here you see all these gurus are traveling and giving knowledge. Nobody is saying, Vyasa is also not saying, मैंने book लिख दिया बस ये पढ़ो अभी मेरा ज़रूरत नहीं है. Or the individual may become redundant, but that person guru has always to be there. That personal teacher is needed. Okay, otherwise it doesn't work. So this is another third important lesson which I wanted to touch on, that the importance of a living saint. You need a living guru. Otherwise, like we see, there are, I'm again not taking names, but there are religious systems where, they have either freezed the guru, they have said that there is only one guru. Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur would say, these people have done a lot of chaos to the world by saying there is only one guru forever, permanently. Wohi guru hai, baaki koi bhi nahi hai. This is actually very dangerous, or this cannot be accepted even by logic or by any fashion, right? One may say that once the devotee has achieved Krishna, okay, then, yes, like Prabhupada also, the one statement of Prabhupada, I'm reading that, Prabhupada once said, I shall connect my disciple to Krishna and then leave him. That means as in once my disciple has obtained Krishna, then I go back in the background. Okay, so there's a nice story for this, I'll just tell this. So this is like from a Vaishnava poet. What he has written is, when Krishna met this fruit seller in Vrindavan, we know the story, that fruit seller story in Vrindavan. That fruit seller came and gave fruits, and Krishna gave those grains or whatever, and that transformed into jewels. So this Vaishnava poet introduces a dialogue. The dialogue is like this. Krishna is telling that fruit seller, Hare, Shabari, you came back in this Leela also? Why did you come back? So as if that fruit seller is Shabari. So that fruit seller is telling Krishna, Hare Krishna, you also came back here again and again. So just like you come again and again, I thought I will also come. Then Krishna tells her, Hare, but last time when you came and met me as Rama, you said I'm going to my guru. Because in Shabari, what happens is she says that I have served you, now I want to go to my guru. And she takes permission of Ram and goes away. So Krishna is telling this fruit vendor, Hare, last time when you came, you told me that you are going to your guru. So why you are, coming again? He said, no, I said that is one reality, but still I am attracted to you. How will I not come again to meet you? She says. So the Vaishnava point introduces this, where this again message is there, the same point what I quoted of Prabhupada, that once the disciple, the guru has done that particular thing, then the disciple remains connected to Krishna, so that part is also there, right? So I'll just end with maybe just one something from the Ramayana, and with that we will end. So, the whole point which we are saying is, yes, certainly, the guru or the acharya is needed to obtain Krishna. Without that, one cannot. So that part is, is again very important. So for that, I'll just tell one or two, I'll just read one or two verses from the Ramayana. So in the Ramayana, it is said that anybody wanted Ram, then they needed a saint or a guru. Without that, nobody could get. Even Sita couldn't get. So it is said Sita, first time she got Ram by the mercy of whom? Vishwamitra Muni. It is Vishwamitra who got Sita and Ram together. And later when Sita and Ram separated, who got them together? Hanumanji. Sugriv got Ram through whom? Hanuman. Vibhishan got Ram through whom? Hanuman only again. Okay, so I'm just reading some verses which show the role of the Acharya. So this is from the Kishkinda Kanda. Hanuman is speaking to Sugriv. Look at what he says. Beautiful verse. Bhavata sakya kamoto brataro Rama Lakshmano pragrihya cha archasva eto pujaniya tamau ubhau. Now it's in dual case. These two brothers, Ram and Lakshmana, are interested to make friendship with you. Hanuman is saying to Sugriv. Thus you receive these two and worship them, for they are most venerable people. So Hanumanji is telling Ram, that, Sugriv, that these two people have come and they are worshipable and you should accept them. And then look at how Sugriv responds. Shrutva Hanumato Vakyam Sugrivo Vanaradipaha Dashaniya Tamo Bhutva Pritya Uvacha Raghavam. On hearing Hanuman's words, Valmiki says, Sugriva decided, let me go and take shelter of Lord Ram. So based on these two verses, the commentary here is that, see, it is only because of this Acharya that this fellow got Ram. He was the person who convinced him and told him, "Aapko jana padega wahan par." Then I'll just take another one verse maybe. So this is again beautiful. This is when Vibhishan comes to do Sharanagati to Ram. Okay, so all the monkeys say different things. Nobody is optimistic. Nobody is advising Ram that you should take Vibhishan. Only Hanumanji, see what he says. Dauratmyam Ravane drishtva vikramam cha tatat tuyi Yuktam agamanam tasya sadrisham tasya buddhitaha. It is indeed appropriate for Vibhishan to arrive at this place and time. Hanuman is telling Ram, by seeing the prowess in you and the wickedness in Ravana, Vibhishan has come here. It is worthy of his judgment to take shelter of you. Please accept him. Okay, so this is what Hanumanji gives that recommendation, and then Ram is accepting. So basically there are many other verses also. I'll not go into that. We'll just end soon. So what it basically shows is, importance, right? So I'll just summarize whatever we spoke today, and then we'll end. So the context of the discussion today from Bhagavatam is about Chitraketu Maharaj expressing gratitude to Narada and Angira, right? And Chitraketu is listing some 20 different sages, saying that all these people are wandering to distribute knowledge. And the purport Prabhupada talks about how all these brahmanas, acharyas, they go around distributing transcendental knowledge. So this is the context of the verse in the purport. So I spoke three things from the perspective of knowledge. The first thing I said is that the guru who is the brahmanas who are there, or acharyas or saints, two things they give. One is knowledge and one is some kind of kripa and some kind of magic. Generally people are more interested in the second one, because nobody wants to take the hard trouble of hearing knowledge and transforming life. Okay, so we are more attracted to those stories only, where some magical transformation happens. So I said, but that's not the standard process. Even if you see great people, even those who could do all these miracles, just one or two they may have done. But their main process of transforming people is by giving knowledge only. We saw the pranati of Vyasa, Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe, how he has written Mahabharata and used it as a lamp to light the lamp of knowledge. I also said that how these rishis like Angira or Narada could have got that child permanently back to life also. But they didn't do that, because it just doesn't teach anything to anybody. Okay, so that was the first thing, about how these gurus can give knowledge, they can give some special kripa and do some mystical thing, but generally we should rely on the knowledge part only main and not on that mystical thing too much. Otherwise we forget the standard path at all. The first point. Second point I made about knowledge is that we should never undervalue knowledge, thinking that knowledge will make one dry, it is useless. No, Gita, Krishna speaks so much about it. Krishna gives so many examples of what knowledge will do to you, right? In fact, I said even statistically it is untrue. Traditionally, most people from Brahmana families traditionally in India over the centuries across sampradayas have actually taken to devotional service. If you see statistically, number-wise. Because the Vedic knowledge ultimately will bring you to Krishna only. Okay, so one should never undervalue that. I also said that the devatva of a Brahmana is the knowledge. He is a walking, talking encyclopedia, like Saraswati Thakur, right? So that actually makes him Daiva. Only when he dies, we understand that he was Manushya. Then I said that, okay, all this is fine, but the knowledge must transform. Otherwise, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, a repository of a knowledge becomes enemy of progress. Then I said knowledge basically for transformation happens only when your belief system is addressed. we spoke several verses that how, examples, that how every individual has some belief system. उसने खुद के एक concept बनाया उसके अंदर. Like Arjuna had made a concept about war and everything. ये bad है, बुरा है, नहीं करना चाहिए सब. You know, so he had that concept and he was hearing things which were not spoken by the speaker. I'm sure all of you as teachers, sometimes you may have experienced this. When you teach some people, they say their own thing saying that you said it, but you never said it actually. उन्होंने खुद से सुना वो. Their belief system, that has to be hit upon. Then we gave several examples of Narada and so many others. Here also, Angira, how they address that belief system of the individual. Then only the transformation happens. Till then it doesn't happen. Okay, then we said that action, knowledge, devotion, how the Gita integrates that. Then I started speaking about the role of the teacher. In that I made 3 points. The first point was the teacher has to be a little detached also. Okay, he doesn't push too much. Okay, like yate chasi tata karo. He gives the space to the student to grow. Otherwise he can cause great harm in the life of the student. That was one point I made. Second point I made is that the guru or the saint never thinks that I am the only deliverer of this XYZ person, even if he is your student. No, you never think like that. You can never think. That's arrogance to think that from the guru's perspective, right? From the teacher's perspective, you cannot think that. Okay, like our philosophy is so many sages are there and people like, that's why we give the example of Pandavas. I said Pandavas, if you ask anybody who is their guru, they will say Drona. He had very little role only. 2-3 साल college education किया बस. 125 साल थे. Dhaumya was there so much. But even he didn't impose himself like that. Though Dhaumya was there constantly with the Pandavas. What a person Dhaumya was. In fact, the Mahabharata says that when the Pandavas were going to the forest after losing the gambling match, Dhaumya was standing in front and reciting the verses from Samaveda, invoking Yamaraj, saying that ye in sabke saath hone wala hai. He was like a family member to them. That type of a counselor or a priest he was for the Pandavas. But still in the background, right? Never imposing. You know, always allowing, and I mean, so many people, Yudhishthira and Pandavas learn from. Actually, if you read the Mahabharata, it's very difficult for you to come to conclusion also. Who is Pandava's guru? Very difficult because so many people were there. Okay, and this is how traditionally teaching was done. Correct? If you see, and not only Pandavas is one example, you take anything here in the Bhagavatam also, you will see that always. Right? Certainly, there is a Diksha Guru, there is one person who may be initiating them in some mantra, etc. But that didn't mean that he was the only person whom they heard or their life was like that, right? So that guru also should not feel too exclusivity. Exclusivity is not part of Sanatana Dharma. That's the second point I made. Third point I made is the living teacher is important. We say Vani Vapu, but both are important certainly, but we cannot make Vani at the expense of Vapu. Wo chahiye aapko. So I said that there are religious systems which have made their grantha only into a guru, and that actually causes problems in their communities. Okay, so you cannot do that. You must have living teachers who can make things relevant to you and teach you in the context, without which you can always get distracted or you can always go off the wrong track. Okay, and then finally we concluded by talking from the Ramayana about the importance of a guru to obtain Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any quick question or comment? Yeah, so he raised his hand first.
Hare Krishna, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you for the wonderful class. So you made one point that, Prabhupada also said that one, or Guru says that once he connects a disciple to Krishna, then he may go in background. So that is his greatness, or he thinks that not to be exclusive, as you said. But as a disciple...
Yeah. As a disciple, there's a totally different perspective. I never touched that. Our whole perspective was only two. Knowledge and the guru's perspective. That's a completely different. The disciple certainly feels indebted, and that's a completely different perspective for a different class for that. But the case of Shabari that I quoted, that fruit seller, there what you see is that is after achieving that perfection. After achieving that perfection, that disciple also get connected to Krishna directly, right? That's what in that story is illustrated. That Shabari is coming back as the fruit seller, and when Krishna is asking, "Are you went to your guru na? Kya hua? Wapas kyun aayi?" So she is saying, "No, I'm so attracted to you, I can't leave you for a moment now." So that means after that point of perfection, the disciple gets connected to Krishna. Not that they forget the importance of the guru, but then that goes back in the background. So that's kind of natural at that level.
Because even we see Prahlad Maharaj prayers also, he remembers his guru before offering to...
Yes, certainly. No, that's a different perspective. I didn't touch that so much. I was speaking mainly the perspective of the teacher, because that's the focus here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Because it's very important that the teacher doesn't be that pushy type, who captures the person and keeps him saying that मैं हूँ तेरा उद्धारक. Nobody does that. So you see, Dhaumya and all doesn't tell that to the Pandavas that hey, I am here, only me. ने मारकंडे कोई नहीं आएगा इधर लेक्चर देने के लिए. हर दिन भागवतम क्लास मेरा ही होगा तुम्हारे लिए. समझ गया ना? चुपचाप बैठो. So it's not like that. Yes, whoever has the mic. No,
Prabhu, you mentioned.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
You mentioned that teacher has to be detached,
Yeah.
and he has to be patient with the child. So my
Student,
question,
yeah.
So my question is with the relationship of parent and a child. So we see the scriptures also talk about that if there is no transformation like in the child, then parent can become strict also. So we say between 5 and 15, we say that he can become strict with the child. So normally how to balance this parent being detached and also being strict? Because in the case of parent, he has to make sure that there is some transformation in the child and he lives by good values and ethics. So how to balance these two?
Actually, parent and guru, we are comparing here, but that is again different roles. Parent role is different and the guru's role is different. The guru is not parent. That also should be understood. Sometimes we also think that I remember, very years back, I was in charge for the Yatra registrations. So those days we used to have forms to be filled physically. This was pre-internet era. There was one devotee I knew, the Yatra committee had asked questions, father's name. He had written his spiritual master's name there. I thought it is a mistake because I was in charge of collecting the forms. I went and told him, "Arey yaar, तूने यहाँ महाराज का नाम लिखा है, खुद के father का नाम लिख." He said, "No, my father is." Then I understood, it is not a mistake. This fellow genuinely feels that his guru has replaced his father only. So I had to tell him, that time of course I was not, I couldn't convince him, though intuitively I felt this to be very funny. I thought that ऐसे कैसे कर दिया इसने. But the point is that there is a little difference there. But the similarity also exists. The similarity is that in that also the detachment has to be there. Okay, the difference little bit is that that role is different as a father or a parent. That role is different. You cannot say that, especially throughout the childhood, the parents obviously will be quote unquote more interfering, so to speak. They may look like that. But the principle of Nishkama Bhavana has to still be there. As the child is growing, give space, understand that, and sometimes the children only tell this, that now I have become big, now don't do this for me. I have had experience. I remember, I'm just sharing an example. So, previously when I used to go for Yatra, I used to only pack my children's bags also. Because we used to only understand what all should be there. So recently, my 16-year-old son, I decided to pack his bag. I started doing. He came and watched and he said, "Why are you doing this?" He said, I said, "Every year I only pack when we go out." He said, "You don't have to do. Tell me which bag you are giving me, I'll pack my bag." Then I understood, बड़ा हो गया अभी. इसको बैग इसका देना पड़ेगा, बोलेगा ये बैग है तेरा, जो पैक करना है कर ले बाबा. Okay, so the thing is, children only will teach us that. Now stop interfering and just give me my space. So I think at that time we need to understand that yes, now I have to also be like, okay. Then you become like a guru, as in you become more like a counselor or whatever, where you speak only when asked, whatever is needed, understanding the disposition. So all those things become important. Then those roles become very similar. You understood? Now? Then those roles become similar. But when they are very small children, it is not like that. Then it is never like that. Then you cannot say that. Then that is like the present European American system. Where, my God, I remember, in Switzerland, one of my relatives, his neighbor is a Western guy. So his son is some 6-7-year-old. They had to go out. So they were asking the boy, "So what do you want to wear today?" He said, "I want to wear this." They put. Then while going out, he said, "No, now I don't want this. I want another dress." So they give so much importance to the free will of that small 6-7-year-old boy that they change the dress, they do many things. I thought, एक कान के नीचे बजाएगा बोलने का चल रहे बाबा, बहुत हो गया ये नाटक तेरा. So, too much, you don't do that, when you are small, right? Then you don't give such a phenomenal amount of free will. So that's according to the age and everything, right? I think we need to end. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Gaur
Not for Damnarashtakam, I haven't played nowhere, so I can't. Yeah, if you. Thank you. Namamishwaram Sachit Anandarupa Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Namamishwaram Sachit Anandarupa Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yashoda Biyoru Kalaravamana Paramrishtamathyanta Todrutya Gopya Ruranta Muhurnetra Yugmamrijanta Karamoja Yugmena Shatanka Netra Shvasakam patrire kankakanta Stita grevam damodaram bhaktivaram Iti drikshvalilabi ananda kunne swagosham nimajantam agyapayantam Tariye shitageshu bhakte jitatvam Puna prematastam shata vritti vande Varam deva moksham na moksha varemva Nachanyam vrineham vare sharapiya Iram teva purnata gopala bala Sarame manasya virastanki manye Namamishwaram Sachiranandarupam Lasat kundalam gokule vrajamana. Namamishwaram sachirananarupam. Lasat kundalam gokule vrajamanam. Viram te mukam bojam atyanta nile. Vritam kuntalai snegha raktaishta gopya. Viram te mukam bojam atyanta nile. Vritam kuntalai snegha raktaishta gopya. Mohoshamita raktararame. Manasya virasta mahalam lakshalavai. Namo Deva Damodara Ananta Vishnu. Prasida Prabodhuka Jalabdimagna. Kripa Drishti Vrishtyati Dinamvatanu. Grihane Shamamagya Medyakshi Drishtya. Kuverat Majobara Murtyai Vayadvat. Tvaya muchito bhakti vajokrito cha. Verat majobara murtyai vayadva. Tvaya muchito bhakti. Tata prema bhaktim svakame prayacha. Namokshe graho mesi namorarera. Namaste sturamne spuradiptidamne. Tvari orarayata vishvyasadamne. Namaste sturamne. Namo Radhikaya Tvariya Priyaya. Namo Nantalilaya Devaya Tubhyam. Namo Radhikaya Tvariya Priyaya. Namo Radhikaya Tvariya Priyaya. Namo Nantalilaya Devaya Tubhyam. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Radha Vrindavan Chandra, Radha Vrindavan Chandra, Radha Vrindavan Chandra, Shri Radhe. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Shri Yashoda Damodar ki Jai. To the Supreme Lord, whose form is the embodiment of eternal existence, knowledge, and bliss, whose sharp-shaped earrings are swinging to and fro, who is beautifully shining in the divine realm of Gokula, who, due to the offense of breaking the pot of yogurt that his mother was churning into butter, and then stealing the butter that was kept hanging from a swing, is quickly running from the wooden grinding mortar in fear of Mother Yashoda, but who has been caught from behind by her who ran after him with greater speed. To that Supreme Lord, Sri Damodar, I offer my humble obeisances. Seeing the whipping stick in his mother's hand, he is crying and rubbing his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes are filled with fear, and the necklace of pearls around his neck, which is marked with 3 lines like a conch shell, is shaking because of his quick breathing due to crying. To the Supreme Lord, Sri Damodar, whose belly is bound, not with ropes, but with his mother's pure love, I offer my humble obeisances. By such childhood pastimes as this, he is drowning the inhabitants of Gokula in pools of ecstasy, and is revealing to those devotees who absorb the knowledge of his supreme majesty and opulence, that he is only conquered by devotees whose pure love is imbued with intimacy, and is free from all conceptions of awe and reverence. With great love, I again offer my obeisance to Lord Damodar, hundreds and hundreds of times. O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for the boon of impersonal liberation, nor the highest liberation of eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon which may be obtained by executing the 9 processes of bhakti. O Lord, I simply wish that this form of yours, as Balgopala in Vrindavan, may ever be manifest in my heart. For what is the use to me of any other boon besides this? O Lord, your lotus face, which is encircled by locks of soft black hair, tinged with red, is kissed again and again by Mother Yashoda, and your lips are reddish like the bimba fruit. May this beautiful vision of your lotus face be ever manifest to my heart. Thousands and thousands of other benedictions are of no use to me. O Supreme Godhead, I offer my obeisances unto you. O Damodar, O Ananta, O Vishnu, O Master, O my Lord, be pleased upon me. By showering your glance of mercy upon me, deliver this poor ignorant fool who is immersed in an ocean of worldly sorrows and become visible to my eyes. O Lord Damodar, just as the two sons of Kuvera, Manigriva and Nalakuvara, were delivered from the curse of Narad and made into great devotees by you in your form as a baby tied with ropes to a wooden grinding mortar, in the same way, please give to me your own Prema Bhakti. I only long for this and have no desire for any kind of liberation. O Lord Damodar, I first of all offer my obeisances to the brilliantly effulgent rope which binds your belly. I then offer my obeisances to your belly, which is the abode of the entire universe. I humbly bow down to your most beloved Srimati Radharani, and I offer all obeisances to you, the Supreme Lord, who displays unlimited pastimes. Shri Radha Damodar ki Jai.